How good does Trey Lance have to be for the Niners to be successful this year?
Well, we know the floor is Garoppolo from last year, right? So I mean, how much worse can you get from there? That was like borderline average play from a quarterback last year, and it's. I think it was funny. Someone quote tweeted when you said Garoppolo. Someone said just better than this, and it's just a low light reel of all his picks, and I'm just like, what was this guy Garoppolo thinking? They weren't just like impressive interceptions. They were literally just like he threw it to the defender who acted as a wide receiver. It was just like,
and that's what training camp was like for him too when he threw 11 picks. I never understood how he won that.
That's just nuts to me. But yeah, I'd say that's the floor, but ultimately he's going to need to be a little bit more than that because they're going to lose Deebo Samuel most likely in that same role that they had him as the wide back position. And it wasn't until they put him in that wide back position that the offense suddenly started clicking. Everything started clicking. Garoppolo wasn't so much of a tear down liability, and they were able to mask a lot of what they did with him and then Mitchell as a side support for the runner. But if that's going to be true, what they're going to, make him more of an exclusive wide receiver, whether it's reduced or just 100% gone, then all right, let's get some more out of our quarterback position. Doesn't have to be a lot more, and I don't even think he needs to try so much more because automatically his traits make him a better quarterback. He should, because he could be on the move. He does have that arm. You suddenly don't have to stick to the script of with Garoppolo, who has to throw behind the limit or behind the line of scrimmage or 5 yards just in front of the line of scrimmage. You have someone who can do more of the 5+ yards, 10+ yards, so on and so forth, and get them on the move. So there's a lot more versatility here, and I think just a little bit more better, and I think he'll have no problem being a little bit better than Garoppolo at worst.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Niners have shown more than any team in the league that they can work around their quarterback. They're not a quarterback-driven team. Their quarterback was their weakest link last year on offense. So if Trey Lance is struggling, they'll probably have to they have the option of putting Deebo Samuel back there. If the season's slipping away and he still has, the competitive fire that he had last year, they have things they can do to make Trey Lance's job easy. Plus, they have a great defense. So I still say he just has to be like a little bit better than Jimmy, who to me is Jared Goff with a more defined jawline. So it's not, to me, it's a very low bar, but I do think what Lance has to be, for the Niners to be successful, Lance has to be way better than Jimmy at protecting himself. That's a big one because Jimmy gets hurt a lot. And up until this last year, he would miss time. He did play through a couple injuries last year. That was new. If Trey gets hurt and they have to play Nate Sudfeld or Jimmy Garoppolo still on the team and he comes back, it would be really, really messy and bad. So I think what he has to do is really protect himself very well. He didn't do that last year, particularly well. And he's got Jake Brendel and Aaron Banks, so we'll see. We'll see.
Oh God, that's not really what you want. But I think the thing to get excited about with Trey is just because it's like we talked about last week or whatever show 2 weeks ago, the new home run player. And I think that's where where that slight edge at least is going to take over. And I'd even go further. It's more going to be a slight edge. I think it's going to be a sizable gap, at least a good enough, a nice leap, where it's going to be great to maybe not denigrate, but to someone that's going downfield all of a sudden, because not only is are you making yourself a little better by putting Trey Lance in, who has those physical traits, but he should be able to make other players better, all of a sudden give them those opportunities that we're going to foreshadow a little bit of who benefits more. Fundamentally, you can use the deep passing ability for the offense. And so I can only imagine what Shanahan's thinking, God, now I don't have to have because Shanahan had to do so much just to get looks on offense to work, because the defense kept predicting so much that, hey, here comes the run. And because he had to keep hiding Garoppolo. Now it's going to be different because he won't have to, he probably still will go through all those moving parts on offense, but it doesn't have to be so much of a constraint on him.
But let's come back to the durability for a second last year, because the Niners were horrible with Trey Lance in this respect last year. Last year, they had him playing. He should have been the starting quarterback last year. And if he was, he wouldn't have been playing with the backup starting offensive line. He might have been playing in the preseason at all, but he was. He was playing deep into that game against the Raiders with the backups, and he broke his finger. He broke the index finger on his throwing hand. It's a huge injury, and it affected him all year. It affected him so much that when Jimmy got hurt a month later and Trey had to make an emergency spot start, they played him like he was Tim Tebow because he couldn't throw well. He couldn't throw his best. And so playing him like Tim Tebow led to a knee injury that lingered for a long time. So one led to another. The Niners really have to make sure that they protect him. He has to make sure he protects himself, or this season will be a freaking disaster. Freaking disaster. They'll have a losing record. It'll be Nate Sudfeld out there.
Yeah, you can't run that
The ball off
offense.
the grabs.
You can't run that panic offense or that conservative, cautious, scared offense if you're Shanahan. That's literally the only way I can see the 49ers failing him, like I wrote the other week. That's literally the only way the 49ers can fail Lance. If you run those same offenses, and I know, great, one was an emergency throw into the fire because Garoppolo suddenly said he couldn't play. And then the other one was on the road against, at that time, one of the best teams in the NFL on the road. You just can't run that offense. Now he's got plenty of time. He's been a year under. You gave him OTAs, you're giving him training camp, you're giving him another preseason. You run it normally. Don't be scared. Run with him. You gotta take chances to get that development going for him.
That being said, I'd be scared in the preseason. I know he needs reps and stuff because you didn't give him reps last year, but don't get him hurt in the preseason again. Kyle, don't get him hurt in practice. Don't get him hurt in the preseason. That's your job because you are totally in control of that. You're not in control of him getting hurt in regular season. That's football. But he doesn't have to play that much in the regular season, in preseason. Now, if you have a quarterback competition, someone could get hurt. Don't do that. I'm just saying, partially on Kyle too.
He'll probably get like 5 total series the whole preseason.
Yeah, come on, it's your starting quarterback. What do you really need to see more in preseason? He's just going to get hurt. Really what you need to see in preseason is which offensive lineman can block, and you don't need Trey Lance in the pocket while you're doing that experiment.